a delayed checkup, a cancer diagnosis, and life-changing surgery. That is the public story Cara Ryan is now sharing after saying a cervical screening appointment changed the course of her life. On April 19, 2026, Ryan, a 36-year-old schoolteacher, was back in headlines after publicly describing how symptoms that began in 2022 were first treated like IBS before a screening in early 2023 led to a devastating diagnosis the following April. And before we go further, please subscribe, like, and share to support Starline Daily for more verified updates and documentary-style coverage that stays focused on what has actually been confirmed. According to Ryan's public account, the first signs were extreme bloating, stomach pain, and back pain. At the time, she said stress and IBS seemed like a plausible explanation, especially during a difficult stretch at work. So, instead of one dramatic emergency, this story appears to have built slowly through symptoms that did not seem to point clearly to one answer at first. At the same time, Ryan has said she was putting off her regular pap smear because the process made her feel embarrassed, uncomfortable, and anxious. That detail is a major reason her story is drawing attention now, because it connects a very private fear to a very public warning. In the UK, cervical screening is routinely offered to people with a cervix between ages 25 and 64, and official guidance says it is designed to check the health of the cervix and help prevent cervical cancer. If someone has symptoms, guidance also says not to wait for a routine invitation. Ryan said she finally went for the screening in early 2023. By April of that year, she said doctors found a cancerous tumor in her cervix, measuring about 2.15 inches, and that the cancer had spread to her womb. Ryan has also said she believes waiting longer could have allowed the disease to progress even further. That is the turning point in her story, because what began as discomfort and delay suddenly became a fight over how much time and treatment were still available. What followed, based on her public account, was not a simple recovery. Ryan said she underwent chemotherapy, but that it did not work. She was then forced to have pelvic exenteration surgery, including a full hysterectomy, bladder removal, and partial bowel removal. That matters because pelvic exenteration is not routine cancer treatment. It is a major, life-changing operation generally used for advanced pelvic cancers when doctors believe the disease is still confined to that area. It can involve removal of reproductive organs, the bladder, the rectum, or a combination of those structures, depending on the case. Ryan has described the aftermath in deeply personal terms. She said the hardest part was not just hearing the word cancer, but living through everything that came with treatment: the loss of fertility, treatment-induced menopause, physical scarring, and the emotional shock of no longer recognizing the life she expected to have. In public comments, she has spoken about grief, body changes, and the gap between surviving an illness and feeling like yourself again afterward. Her story is also resonating because official cancer guidance shows how easy it can be to overlook symptoms that overlap with more common conditions. Cervical cancer symptoms can include unusual bleeding, changes to vaginal discharge, pain during sex, and pain in the lower back, pelvis, or lower abdomen. More advanced disease can also involve bowel or urinary problems, abdominal pain, swelling in the legs, and fatigue. At the same time, health authorities stress that these symptoms can be caused by many conditions other than cancer. The important point is not panic, it is getting checked. That is also why Ryan's account has become bigger than one diagnosis. She is now publicly urging other women not to delay gynecological exams because of embarrassment or fear, and that message lines up with broader screening guidance. Cervical screening is a preventive tool, not something to ignore just because life gets busy, symptoms seem vague, or the test feels uncomfortable. As of the latest public update, Ryan says she is focused on rebuilding her normal life and making the most of what she calls a second chance. What remains most striking about her story is not just the severity of the treatment, but the question it leaves behind for so many viewers. How many people are putting off an important appointment because it feels awkward, intimate, or easier to postpone? For now, the clearest public takeaway is Ryan's own warning that delay can carry consequences far beyond the appointment itself. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting Starline Daily.